Hello and welcome back to Dirt and All. We are in sunny downtown Kempsey today. It's about 36 degrees. It's already warm outside. I'm here in the studio with Tom McDonald, Dixie Holdings. How are you, Tom?
Good, guys. How are you guys?
Good, Tom. How are you, mate?
Loving it.
Loving it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mate,
Happy
seems
to be
like,
here.
Seems like a while since we've been in the studio. It's nice to be here with you. Woods, haven't caught up with you much lately. How have you been, mate?
Been well, yeah. Been pretty busy, so it's great to be back in the studio.
Sensational. Well, yeah, mate, look, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, mate.
Happy to be here. Yeah.
Sub's good, isn't it?
Yeah, mate, this place is unreal what you guys have done with it. It's flash.
It's good, yeah.
Good. Yeah.
No, it's got that feel about it, so.
Yeah, I love the nose cone at the front. It's an awesome touch. It's
a bit of a
you've done an
piece.
unreal job.
Yeah.
We needed something to compensate for our professionalism as podcast hosts.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's fake
put
it
it
till
in
you make
the
it.
studio. Yeah, exactly right. So, mate, we found you, Dixie Holdings. You guys have had a long-standing relationship with DGI Trading.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us the story of that? What's the background there?
Yeah, well, I guess my father basically introduced me to DGI. So he's been dealing with Griffo for, probably as long as I've been alive, I guess. But
Definitely, yeah.
and
Probably longer.
yeah, and then he introduced me to Woodsy, and then because we do a lot with dozers and a lot of alterations and refurbs, and Woodsy's kind of always had blades or rippers or things that whatever we've ever got in stock, it's never right. We'll have a U blade, and then they want an SU, or we'll have an SU blade, they want a U blade, and we'll have single shank ripper, they want a multi shank, or vice versa. So we've over the years we've always been able to do some trading and some negotiating to kind of keep everyone happy and do some deals, and also DGI being good to us over the years and giving us some heavy haulage work and a few other things as well. So we've kind of scratched each other's backs, I guess you could say. It has been a fairly kind of long-standing relationship, I guess you could say. Yeah.
And you guys are a multifaceted business. You've touched on quite a few things already. So sort of take us from the top. What do you guys do exactly?
So, traditionally, in the early days, we were just basically a used equipment dealership and did some rebuild work, some a lot of engine rebuilds, cosmetic rebuilds, and that kind of transformed, I guess, a lot like around 10 years ago when things were a bit hard. And there was a big kind of the mining downturn, which everyone kind of remembers, which was pretty hard for a lot of businesses, and and I guess we then altered the business a lot then to kind of what it is today. So we back then we actually sold all our transport fleet and basically really kept things quite basic and had to really think, all right, what are we going to do moving forward, because what we're doing right now is not working, and we started getting a lot of inquiries in the ag kind of sector, and what we found is there wasn't really many people back then that were able to buy machines, rebuild them, and have a good kind of new alternative dozer that was specced with canopies, stick rakes, cutter bars, drawbars, ready to go to work, and a lot of people were getting frustrated with kind of trying to deal with too many suppliers. So buying a dozer from that guy and a stick rake from that guy and
canopy from there,
and then getting that bloke to transport it and getting that bloke to finance it. And so we kind of slowly over a few years basically transformed the business to really kind of narrow down on that ag sector. And so started our engineering shop. So we wanted like an in-house kind of one-stop shop for supplying good quality ag dozers and loaders, graders, and being able to custom spec them, I guess, to suit kind of the larger ag sector. So your big cattle farmers, your big cotton growers, the guys that need to
got 100,000 acre paddock.
Exactly, yeah, and they need to, and people like us, like how do these guys justify the money in buying this machinery? And I say it's like when you buy a house in town and you buy the house for $500,000 and you spend $100,000 on it, and then you sell it for $800,000. That's kind of what our customers do, but in a bigger scale with ag land. So they'll buy a paddock that's got a lot of trees on it that's worth nothing, and then clear the trees, plant grass seed, turn it into good farming land,
land.
and then put cattle on it, and then basically either sell it or keep on putting more cattle on it, I guess, and make the land worth
So
a lot
you
more.
spec these dozers up for what they require, like a stick rake, or a design them, or do you just...
usually we because having the blades and the rippers, what you kind of have is never right.
Yep.
So depending on where they are in Australia, people like different size and different types of attachments to suit their country.
Yep.
So we usually I try and have a good dozer or loader in stock.
Yep.
And then basically offer the options on how we can spec it to suit them. So, some people like folding rakes, some people like wide stick rakes, some people like thin stick rakes.
Yep. That's
some people like
good.
tree spears, some people don't like tree spears, some people like sweeps, some people like heavy duty scrub canopies. Like there's, depending on where they are and what country they're working on.
And what about these cutter bars?
So we've kind of come up with some pretty crazy designs for some cutter bars that we work really closely with the customers to kind of not build what we think they need, let them tell us what they need.
Yep.
And then so we've got some pretty clever guys that work with us that come up with some pretty awesome designs. And then we basically trial them out, like trying to keep fuel usage down and drag down and productivity up, so that everyone's trying to do as many acres in an hour as they can. And so just trying to come up with things that are going to work well and
that's
keep
all
costs
developed
down
through trial and error.
Exactly, So like we're obviously we're a family business. We can only really work with customers, and if something doesn't work, well, that's awesome. Let's fix it and make it better, so the next customer gets something better. And so over the last 10 years, like we've got some pretty cool stuff that we can offer now. That's
so what's a cutter bar actually? Like how deep does it go?
They range, like usually most people run them at around 300 to 400 mil deep.
A foot.
And so it's basically after you start off with you'll get chain. You'll pull the trees.
Chain pull.
So you pull the trees down, but that'll sometimes snap off a lot of trees and leave a lot of the roots and everything in the ground. So then you'll push all those trees up into a pile, and then you'll rake them into a pile, should you say, which is stick rakes. Stick rakes like a garden rake that you'd use at home, but just on a bigger scale. So if you imagine your garden rake you use for raking sticks up in your back paddock, it's like that, but a lot bigger, that you put on the front of a blade of a bulldozer. And then once that's done, you'll basically get the cutter bar, which locates into the ripper box, your toolbar.
Yep.
And then it basically goes underground, pulls up all your roots, and also like kind of aerates your soil a bit, so breaks up your soil and brings everything to the surface. So they've got like root lifters. So as it's going underground, the root lifters kind of bring everything to the surface.
Oh, right.
And then basically, so trees can't grow back. Basically. So, and then a lot of people have like seeders that they'll put on behind the dozer as well. So while you're doing all this, you're dropping grass
special
seed.
seeder as well.
So you can kind of choose people put different types of grass seed in there
that they want.
And then they try and plan it perfectly. So then while this is all done, it starts raining, and then they've got a beautiful paddock full of grass, and
cultivated up.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's part of it, along with obviously we do mining as well. So
that was my next question. So what's the size range on some of this gear that you guys are selling? Like, do you go up to ultra class?
We like kind of the D6 to D11 size tractors. So we will sell anything. We'll sell a 1.8 ton digger on a trailer to a plumber. But the stuff we do most of, we do a lot of D8s, D9s, D10s. I guess is our
concentrated.
That's what we like selling. And that's kind of what we're set up for. But obviously we sell a lot of D6s. They're probably the most popular dozer in Australia. So it'd be silly not to stock a few of them and sell a few of them as well.
And what about graders?
So my father did a lot of scrapers, so he loves scrapers.
Back in the day,
that was his personalised number plates for 657G. So we still do a lot of scrapers because some of our older customers are scraper contractors. So we do, but even with the scrapers, we do more like 23s, 37s. Used to a lot of 57s back in the day. But yeah, 31s, 37s, 23s are kind of the size.
For dams or
yeah. So for big like storages. So more for like your ag contractors, I guess.
Yep, cotton farming.
Cotton farmers, yeah. But yeah, the 37s are kind of more on those bulk earthworks jobs that a few of our customers and some in the mining sector they're running 37s as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll supply and buy machines back off them as well and keep things running. But yeah, that's ag and mining, I guess, is probably our concentrated targets, I'd say. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So take us back. You guys started in the 1970s? Is that
yeah,
correct?
so my I think my grandfather, he was a brickie to start out with, and basically needed some earthmoving machinery, and he got into kind of buying and selling back in the old days where you go for a drive. And
the Goldie?
No, they were down in Sydney, so Western Sydney. Yeah, I guess things were a lot different back then. You'd go out and you'd buy a package of gear, and then you'd work it or sell it, and there was only really a few people back then that used to do it, and he was one of them.
Yeah.
And then in like I'm going to say the late 80s, I guess it was. We moved to Chindra, and then he bought a big block of land at Yatala, which everyone thought he was insane for doing. Like they thought, why would you want to have workshops in Yatala? Like it's not Brisbane, it's not the Gold Coast. Like no one's going to want industrial real estate there, and that's where we basically had our kind of first workshop on the on the southern end of Brisbane there.
Yep.
And we were there for about 20 years. But that was kind of McDonald Group back then. So that's when Dad worked with his father and his brothers, and then they kind of split up, I guess, and everyone went their own way.
Yep.
And part of that breakup, I guess, was the cattle station we had up north, Dixie Station.
Yep.
Which my father had part of, and hence the name Dixie Holdings. We kind of kept the company name,
yep.
and then moved just down the road from that yard on Stapleton Jacobswell Road, where we are now, and which we've been there for 20 years now in that yard, and just kind of continue to sell machinery, and and now do what we do now, which is a bit of everything.
So third generation machinery dealer, do you ever sort of sit back and go, glad I'm not a third generation brickie?
Yeah, like there could have been lots of things. You could be a third generation, and which would be no fun. But it was also odd that like I found.
So where'd you start?
Yeah, well, when your family's in tractors and everything, you kind of obviously, like when I was a kid, you spent a lot of time, school holidays and everything, fuck around with tractors in the paddock, and then I just kind of enjoyed it, I guess. So then I did a school-based apprenticeship with Dixie.
Okay.
When I was at I went to Churchie in Brisbane there, and they offered a program where you could do school-based apprenticeships back then, which was unreal, because I was
that would have been the first
never really that great at school. I guess like my report card from like year 1 to 12 was, we wish Tom would focus more on his schoolwork than entertaining his peers, and there was never a subject that was like entertainment, so it was so I never really
didn't
excelled.
consider a career in drama.
No, I was just I couldn't handle the blokes that did it, I guess.
Yeah. But, I'm sort of picture you on like Home and Away or something. Like like the dynamic young.
Yeah, but more like the Alf Stewart guy, the flaming mongrel guy. But it was so then I that kind of helped me get a job at Komatsu, I guess. So when I was 17, I was at Schoolies, and we're on a midweek bender at Schoolies on like the Tequila Tuesday or whatever it was, and then I get a phone call from Komatsu saying they want me to start next week and start my first year apprenticeship. So it was an unreal place to do my time as a fitter.
Yep.
So I did time at Reman, and then went to the revenue department and used equipment department, and spent time in the turbo room and the fuel rooms, and it was an awesome place to do my time as an apprenticeship, and I ended up being a field service fitter there for a few years,
Yep.
and which I really enjoyed. I loved being in the team. We had a really team of good blokes back then, good fitters. It was just fun going to work. We used to
Getting the job done.
yeah, big hours, but I used to love most of all like dealing with the customers and dealing with the guys, and then I was bloody young. I was being like 23 or so. A job came up for the supervisor role for the fitters for kind of that southeast Queensland kind of area, and I thought I'll go for it and see how I go, and end up getting that job and end up working in the office there for a few years. Basically running the fitters, and that was a really good learning experience for me, because no one ever rings up the Komatsu service department and being like, "Hey, Tom, just wanted to let you know, fucking thank you so much for creating such great machinery." So like, it was a lot of fucking drama I had to deal with every day, and a lot of fitters that that had issues, and customers that had issues, and so you kind of got good at just dealing with shit every day, and it was like, so it was. Even though it was a pretty testing job, it was a really good learning experience.
Good learning curve.
And then at the time, that's when Dad was kind of, I think looking to do more but do less at the same time, I guess. So I got the opportunity to basically join the family business then, and worked really closely with Dad for about probably 7 or so years, until I think Dad kind of he'd had enough. He'd been doing it long enough, and wanted to spend more time on the golf course. And then but so yeah, when I started at Dixie, it was just it had a really good name in the industry of providing really good quality, used gear. And Dad is very good at what he does, and he's a perfectionist. And so I guess my job was to try and turn what he was good at doing and try and scale it, I guess. So instead of, having one beautiful machine, try and have 3 or 4 on the go at once.
At the one time. And a rental machine.
And a rental machine, and a heavy haulage business, and an engineering shop. So I guess, when we started there, we didn't have a website, didn't have a proper email, didn't have, we were using fax machines, and we were signing checks at the end of each. It was just a good old school business, but I just
modernise it.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just slowly transformed into, I guess, what it is today. And it's I love the industry. I love my customers. I love the people you get to deal with.
Yeah,
stuff like what we're doing today.
It's bad.
But even like a lot of our opposition are like good mates of mine. And
funny industry.
We talk about that a little bit on here. It's a unique industry in that regard. That everyone that's a competitor is generally also a customer.
Yeah,
also a mate. And
but like I can't supply every machine that my customers ring me up for. So the worst thing you do is have your competitors offside. So we work really closely with a lot of people that you could say are our competitors. That we all go to the pub together, we all talk, we like to know what everyone's got, and also what everything's priced at, to make sure things are priced accordingly. As I say, you just work together. There's enough people in the world to not have to compete, I guess. Just work together.
It's probably no different than the Reserve Bank.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Do you deal with much Komatsu gear?
Yeah, so basically our whole rental fleet now is Komatsu. So when we first started getting in the rental game, I guess we had more Caterpillar gear, and we were buying kind of late model used gear, and then trying to run it, and it was working. But what I didn't like is there was too many unknowns, I guess, at the end of each month. You think you've had a good month, and then you put your repairs and breakdowns so we kind of changed the business structure a bit for the rental side of things, where we just kind of went new Komatsu stuff, which is on maintenance contracts and under warranty. and obviously I've got a good relationship with Komatsu. Like they're a big part of my life for a long time, so I know a lot of guys.
So you spec these dozers up.
So now our rental stuff's more dump trucks, excavators.
Okay.
So the dozers we are more on our sales stock. So our rental stuff's more like 40 ton, 30 ton Moxies 50 ton excavators. So those like kind of bulk earthworks machines that people always want to rent. Basically, they're a lot of people are, any kind of big development whatever they need the scrapers or they need Moxies and excavators. So we like to have a few of them sitting there, and with the Komatsu stuff, I've really only got to worry about repayments and insurance, and the because it's late model and it's under warranty, I don't have those unknowns that I was having with the other equipment, so that's basically all our rental stuff's now.
You find a lot of jobs more digger and Moxie instead of a scraper?
Around where we are, like there's
Is it's a lot of new way the engineers have been through?
Well, and a lot of them, like I guess, probably don't know the scraper. Like obviously, scrapers is probably the cheapest and fastest way of moving dirt. But I guess and Dad probably knows more about this than I do. I'm not much of a scraper man, being from Komatsu, but I don't think their scrapers are very good. No. But a lot of jobs that's just what they ask for. So it's like the dozers I buy or the dozers I rent out. I just buy what people want, I guess. So so when people always seem to ring up chasing either Moxie water carts or Moxie dump trucks or 50 ton diggers, I guess. So that's what we have to kind of
offer them.
Yeah. So the scraper, the dozer stuff for the rental, we'll do it if it's for the right customer for the right length of project, but like those machines, there's a lot of things where you haven't got the right people on them and the right people working them. It can become a bit of a nightmare.
So you hire with the operator, or
no? We're just a machinery supplier. So I don't like to compete against our customers, and I'm pretty strong on that. So I'll sell it to you, I'll move it for you, I'll rent it to you, I'll fix it for you. But I'm not going to go competing against you, putting operators on there, and it just I don't know. You start putting people offside, I think.
Stepping over it.
Stick to what you know. We're not earth movers. We're machinery suppliers. So we're not going to try and pretend to be something we're not. So we stick to what we're good at, which is just supplying quality gear.
Good gear.
Yeah.
That's good.
So that's kind of I guess the story of where we got to today.
What about the name Dixie Holdings? It's unique. It stands out. I was telling you that I remember it from looking at the contact list 15 years ago. It's just one of those names you remember.
Yeah. So
where does it come from?
My father's a little bit superstitious, and I am as well. And I guess so when McDonald Group broke up, and we had Dixie Station up north, which is a cattle station. So Dixie was about 1 million acre cattle station. And it was fairly kind of well known up north, and I think it's government owned now. It's been through a few hands, but I think it's government owned now. But and Dad just liked the look of the word Dixie. It's it's a word that he likes, and he already had the company kind of set up for it, and he. When it first kind of started, he liked the word that much. He wanted to get the number plates, so he wanted these Dixie number plates. And back then, in the old days, you used to be able to send an email to like the owners and be like, "Hey, I want to buy your number plate. Is it for sale?" And this bloke had his wife Dixie, and he's like, "Oh, listen, I'll sell him, but I want 15 grand for him." And Dad's like, "Fuck off, mate! Like, don't want it that bad." And so anyway, then
they got 657 G instead.
Well, then like 5 years later, old mate's rang up and got his contact details, rang him up and said, "Hey, Jeffrey, me and Dixie are split up. Do you still want to buy those number plates?" And Dad said, "Yeah, I'll give you 500. And he's like, "Yeah, done." so now I've got the Dixie number plate. And as I say, just because it's a good looking word. And, So
we were talking about
Dixie. Good on you, Dixie.
Say goodbye to Dixie. I've got my 500 and So that's, as I say, it's he didn't like having a company with our last name or anything. He just said it was kind of bad luck, I guess. He was just a bit superstitious like that. So that's how the Dixie Holdings
come across.
It's memorable. It's unique. I've remembered it for 15 years, and then I think we touched on this before. You guys have obviously ramped up your marketing, and it's kind of like a name from 15 years ago is now quite relevant on socials.
Yeah,
the content you guys are pumping out, a few bangers.
Years ago, like people said to me, like, you guys on Instagram and Facebook? I was like, who the fuck wants to watch excavators and dozers on Facebook and Instagram? And it turns out like lots of people
Mate, it's
do.
phenomenal. Yeah.
So as I say, for a few years, like either myself or the sales guys would kind of, as I say, would stream a little, video on our phone and then put a bit of Fisher behind it or a bit of Dom Dollar, a bit of a banger behind it, and like and think people are going to want to watch this, and they did, and then so it slowly kind of started to grow our following on social media, and then I've got 4 kids, fairly close in age, so my wife was kind of looking after the kids, and then they kind of all started going to school, and she had a bit of extra time on her hands, so she's really started pushing our marketing fairly heavily in the last kind of 12 months or so, and it's been great. Like it's how many phone calls I get from, especially like it's funny, like the older dads that like don't like saying like they're on Facebook or they ring up like, oh listen, I was on that that fuckbook. And the young fella was fucking charming. And I'm like, no, don't. I'll look you up. I know you got it as well. Don't you be like that. And they'll like. So it's like people that didn't know who we were for attachments or machinery. They know us all through Instagram and Facebook, and TikTok is a big thing. Like guys ring me up and I'm like, I can't. Like TikTok is.
It's the people you least expect to be on TikTok. Big on TikTok.
Yeah, like so you get the old farmer. He talks to you like he's got a bit of steak stuck in his tooth. He's like, oh, I was watching it on that fucking TikTok, and I'm like, you're on TikTok, mate. TikTok, And
sitting in the tractor.
My wife's grandfather is a legend. But he was telling me he was on TikTok, and he goes, I was on that thing, and you just start with one video, and they keep going. It's phenomenal. It just goes forever.
7 hours later, and you're like, where's my life gone?
What have I done?
And when obviously no one used to market, machinery and stuff on like it wasn't that long ago. No one was doing that, and so I guess
it's gone for the pictures, and now it's to the videos.
And reels. And the reels is a big thing. So it's we've people in our industry we've found you can write a big documentary on how great your machinery and attachments and everything are. But no one's going to read it. But you put a 30-second clip up, or a reel, or a story or something, and it just seems to
engage.
Like they you can take photos, things as well, but what we like about the videos, and especially with these awesome iPhones you've got now, like the cameras are so good, and you can like really get up close so they can see the detail of the welding and the paint jobs, and it paints a different story to what an old picture in the Book of Dreams used to do back in the day.
Back with Book of Dreams.
So
and it's even like it's one thing back in the day to say, hey, we're a multi-generational business, but we've sort of got a cool young approach to it.
Yeah.
You can say that, but you can just put some Fisher on as the music.
Yeah, just put a bit of Fisher.
You got me worried.
Have you got 4 daughters?
Yeah, no, I've got 3 daughters. So we had 2 girls first, and then 1 boy, and then I was like, oh, how cool would it be to have like 2 girls and then 2 boys? Then we had another girl, and
are you bringing them all up?
But
on
we
Fisher
like
and Dom
we they love it. Yeah, Dawn loves a bit of WAP as well. We like that macaroni in the pot, you know what I mean? But yeah, so we had them very close in age. So like I'm big on getting a job done, and my wife wanted 4 kids. I was like, well, put your fucking helmet on, and
you going for the boy, mate?
Yeah, and we got the boy, but even I really wanted at least 1 boy, just to take the family name on, and someone that I could get in the motorbikes with me and that kind of thing. And so when we had our 3rd, and I was like, God, I hope it's a boy. And then so Addie came to work. Like did like the, what do they call it, NIPT test, whatever it's called, where they can tell like the gender now when they're at 9 weeks or whatever. So we did all that, and she's come to work with these blue balloons and everything, like so excited to tell me. And I was on the phone, and I've become one of those spastics. It's got like the ear, what are they called? Earbuds.
Yep.
And she's come to me with the balloon. I've gone kind of thing, like a rude prick, and she's like, Oh yeah, like just sit there waiting with this blue balloon. I was like, "Hey, sorry, what's going on?" And she's like, "We're having a boy," and so it was. I kind of ruined the moment a bit.
Oh shit!
But I was so excited, and but as I say, 4 under 4s, it's been very busy,
Tough, eh?
and trying to do that, and a young family, trying to build a business, and it's been a very busy last probably eight years. So it's we're at the stage now, when the youngest could put her own clothes on. We're just
it's a lot easier.
Fuck.
Now they get to school.
Yeah, had a big fire at the back and burned all the prams and car seats and everything. It's like, and I was like, get this part of my life over. And we started young. We started having kids when we were about 26 or so. So we were kind of done by 30. So a lot of our friends now are just starting, and I'm like, oh God,
good luck.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we can't wait to have babies. Like, no, but it's so hard. It's hard work.
It's great, but
it's great. Yeah, you love them, and it's a great part of your life, but it's we're at a fun stage now. We're like the girls are riding ponies and young fellas on his motorbike, and it's a fun stage of life now on weekends and everything. When it's like when they're babies and they can't communicate properly and they're so dependent on you. You're just like, mate,
I'm nodding as if I understand and I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not at that point
it's like
yet.
your dog,
But the dog is where I want to bring it back to.
Yeah. So we've got a few of them as well.
Why not throw a few in the mix?
Yeah, so we've got horses, chickens, dogs, sheep. I say it's more about just having little animals for the kids to play. We got some sheep the other day. Named one of them Lady Diana, People's Princess, and the kids just go out there and just be kids, and we love it. It's just a good way to bring them up.
They're enjoying
Have you taken the kids through the whole we're going to raise this animal, then kill it and eat it phase, or you're not going to do that?
No, they're the thing is, we've got to kind of trick him a little bit. Even we've got this rooster, and he's an absolute fucking nightmare, and he kind of attacks everyone. But I've got to try and work out to get away to just make him disappear and get a chicken that looks a little bit like a rooster. So I might have to get some pen and draw on its face or something. And because they'll be like, "Hey, what happened to that rooster?" I was like, "You hated it." Like, no, but we loved it as well. You can't get rid of it. It's but that's especially for the sheep, that would be kind of the plan, I guess, to have a nice roast at the end of it. But I'm not sure how my wife and kids would feel about that just yet.
Especially hanging up outside there.
I don't know if I'd be doing that. But,
what's your head count in terms of animals and other assorted living creatures out at your ranch?
I wouldn't have a clue now.
Have you got roosters and?
Oh no, I haven't got. We got rid of. Well, our dogs got rid of all the chickens.
Oh, well, they did the job for you.
They don't seem to get on too well.
Nah, Frenchies especially.
Yeah, right.
They chowed out.
Oh. Yeah, is that what you've got as well? Is yours a Frenchie?
Mine's a Boston Terrier.
Right.
They're like a more athletic Frenchie.
I think
they can breathe a bit better. They can
18 in one hit.
Move a bit. 18. Wow. My dog got a bird out of our backyard when we lived in Newey. Can jump incredibly high, and small bird flying low. The dog just jumped up and took it straight out of the sky.
Yeah, right. No, our dogs are very much not like that. They're more. I think they use the bathroom and toilet paper.
Yeah.
But we've got a groodle, or they call them in the States a golden doodle.
Is that what they are?
And it's like a big, furry Great Dane looking thing, and it's a clever dog. But then we ended up with a toy poodle the other day because I was in a bit of trouble for having a big night with some customers, and my wife was a bit upset with me, and that was kind of made my problems go away.
We asked you how you did it, and this is how you did it.
Yeah, just got to buy dogs and animals.
Yeah.
So hence why we've got so many animals.
Get rid of the four-legged animals.
It's like a macaw.
So if I'm in trouble, it's like, hey, well, 4 sheep will fix that. I was like, yeah, right. Yeah. What are you doing? Get off the phone and get those sheep. But anyway, so that's our place.
Going back to agriculture, where do you see it going forward? In the what do you see? GPS work a lot more and that type of thing, or any automation coming through?
Yeah, the ag sector are they're really advanced, more so than probably when I see guys in construction or mining, the guys in ag are they're having a proper go with anything they can do to save money.
Yeah,
any technology they can use, they are into it. I'm having a steak with a guy at the Brecky Creek Hotel the other day with a customer that's got country up in the Burdekin, and he's on his phone. He goes, "Oh, just excuse me for a second." He's changing irrigation, going to different paddocks, while sitting in a pub in Brisbane. And as I say, that the GPS stuff they've got set up there now, and the different types of tech they use for so many different things on farms now is unreal, which I didn't know until you start going out there and talking to these guys and seeing what they're doing.
Yeah. I'm probably going to get this wrong, but I saw a John Deere post the other day, and it's something about like load sensing. And for anyone listening, I know absolutely nothing about agriculture, so don't crucify me in the comments or anything, but it was it's like the front of the harvester has like load sensing technology now, where it knows how much power to output as per what they're harvesting, or how dense the
there's so many great things they've brought out now to, as I say, just to keep costs down per acre or
per acre, just not overlapping just one little bit.
And that's what's come back to what I was talking about before with the cutter bars and everything.
Yeah.
With like cutter bars, people traditionally had like these big dual shank, like or like ripper tines that they put a bar across.
Yep.
And they think that'll do the job. It's just cutter barring. But if you've got to do a bunch of cutter barring, you want to try and keep things as streamlined and as possible. And then when you look at the end of it, if you're doing 50,000 acres of cutter barring,
wow.
if you can save a few litres of diesel every acre. It's a lot of diesel, a lot of saving, and
so GPS as well.
Yeah, GPS, exactly. So you're not doing things twice, I guess. So keeping things straight and not as I say, it's all about keeping the cost down per acre. And because these guys have got such big paddocks, when you look at the end of the job and your savings, the cost in that GPS or having the right attachment, it can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So and farmers they know about this. They're all about doing things right, doing things at a costly manner. And they excel at it. Yeah.
Do you run any tech out on your farm, Woods?
No, not really.
iPhone.
Actually, there's a new app I'm going to get on my phone that's actually like a GPS, and you don't have to spend the $3,000 or $4,000 bucks on a screen.
But some guys just have like Garmin or whatever have one of those like cost a few $100s or whatever, and it's just a really simple GPS ones, and that's better than nothing. You know what I mean? Even the guys are on a bit of a smaller budget, they've still got some. They're not just going to do it without it. They'll still use something to try and do it better than what they used to do.
What they can.
Yeah.
My algorithm on YouTube is fairly heavily weighted towards earth-moving equipment.
Yeah.
Bit of American politics. Few like Rufus Burning Man sets that get sort of played on repeat on the weekend at our house. But I started going down the agricultural rabbit hole. And I was watching some guys in America, they film like really cool stuff with drones. And it's actually amazing watching the harvesters, how they all work in succession, and the trucks come to, like, they're lined up for the next load of corn or wheat or whatever they harvest. I don't know what's going on, but it's mesmerising. I do enjoy watching it.
And makes good footage as well.
Yeah,
when you're filming
it does.
Yeah,
it looks good. Like filming earth moving, it's always dirty, and you've got to put a bit into it. But you've got these beautiful green paddocks, but
a lot of people haven't seen it as well. Like
that's a thing.
We sold two of our rebuild D9Ts to a customer in Claremont, or like just kind of north of Claremont there, and they were both set up with our Dixie drawbars, which are like a bolt-on drawbar for underneath the ripper box,
right?
And
for chaining,
so they're good because they're bolted to the ripper box. As you lower the ripper box, your drawbar assembly comes down, so you can put your chain in, lift it back up, and so like they're easy, so they're popular.
Yep.
And I thought and I said, can we send some one of my camera guys up there and get some drones out and film these things in action, and it ended up being such cool footage. So, and I got to jump on one of the dozers, which obviously I'm not an operator, and I'm a machinery dealer, tractor flogger, but I got to spend the day like stick raking and in the new machine. He was in the other one working together while the guy had drones out and all these cameras on the ground. Those cameras that they got on the sticks now that keeps the
gimbal.
Had all that stuff going on, and the video he made, like we got over 500,000 views on our Instagram from it. Just ended up being such cool footage because people don't get to see it, and they love to see it. Yeah. Got all the crows coming in and the eagles coming to get the snakes as things like it was.
And
like
I didn't know that like the chain, like on the anchor rope or wire, it actually wears out, and that's what actually goes in this chain pulling.
Yeah, the old anchor chain from
Anchor
ships.
chain, yeah.
So when they wear
Yeah,
out,
right, it's
then
that big.
but it is like 3 inches. Like it is
Where's
massive
down between
chain.
the links? You don't.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so then when they kind of decommission them out of a ship, then they basically
the bush.
They go in the bush and get pulled behind dozers, and
Yeah.
so there's different sizes they use, but it's a lot of people don't get to see it. I'm lucky that I've been able to experience.
What's
a few
the
times.
process there? Have you guys got like a ship chain dealer? Like, how do you got someone at port?
there's
how does that
a lot.
work?
It's another trade.
Yeah, well, a lot
yeah.
of it goes to like scrappies, and then you might have a contact with a scrappy, being like, hey, if you got any ship chain,
Per ton.
or per foot, I guess a lot of people sell it. So
Yep.
I guess it has like, because it's kind of worn out or whatever, they and because it's bloody expensive, but so they might use like thicker stuff and then go thinner stuff from that with big shackles.
Oh,
and,
yeah, yep.
and depending on what doses they use behind, obviously, like D6 can't pull the same chain as a D9 or a
Yeah,
D10.
yeah.
So yeah, but it's but yeah, a lot of it comes up just online, on Facebook, there's that many ways of getting it these days.
Yeah,
But,
scrap chain,
yeah. When there was different governments getting in, I guess there was a bit of a push to get a lot of country cleared and everything.
That
so,
was the quickest. And
So it was like a pretty hot commodity there for a little bit. If you could get some, you usually make one phone call and it would go. But I think it's pretty easy to get
backed
these
off
days.
now,
Yeah,
The new telecom rope or dairy farm and milk crates, Old blokes love a bit of telecom rope or milk crates.
Yeah, no, not really. But,
Or ship chain.
Or ship chain. Yeah.
Plenty of it.
So you guys, like, one thing we sort of spoke about before this was like, we talked to a few people across the industry. It's no secret that there's certain elements of the industry that are probably quietening at the moment, and for whatever reason. How does the ag sector look for you guys? What's your take on the market at the moment out there?
I guess like all industries, like it's like riding a wave a little bit, like the mining sector or anything else. So so ag, like most of our customers, I guess, cattle, like that's that.
Queensland, Northern
Queensland,
Territory.
like northern Queensland territory.
Yep.
And they're big cattle farmers basically that have got big blocks and they need to look after their country because they've got lots of cattle. These guys, like we're talking guys that have hundreds of thousands of head of cattle on their places. So like they've got to really keep the food up to them because they don't go too well without food. These cattle, but so food and water is like their life is about basically making sure water is probably the top priority, I guess. So making sure they've got good diversions on their blocks, so the water's going the right places. Making sure they've got good water storages. That's probably one, and then two is making sure they've got good feed there, so they can fatten up the cattle and sell them. And these places are big places. So
Like, 100,000 acres, 200.
Yeah, not millions acres.
Millions of acres properties.
Yeah. So big places. So so they're like not as dramatic, but like they're like if you've seen that thing on Netflix, that territory thing that's on at the moment.
Yes.
I tried to watch it.
Like that, but without everyone shooting each other every time they have a blue. Like that's a bit dramatic,
Yeah,
but
totally.
that's kind of like
Yellowstone,
So these guys don't have work utes; they've got helicopters because and again coming to technology, like what used to take them in a day in a Hilux today, they can do in like half an hour in a chopper now. So instead of having 10 blokes there, they can do things on their own. So because obviously good people are hard to get, and so they've changed the way they do things, and because these places are so big, it's that's where that territory shows like it's kind of half true, where they do just jump on helicopters and go
crocodile eggs in the chopper. Did you see that bit?
That's so a lot of that stuff. So that's more it's not quite like that, but
not really.
And Yellowstone's back.
Yeah, it's coming
back.
I love it. Everyone reckons I look like Rip.
Where's the hat?
I left it at home. It's tied about the front with the horse. But yeah, I love Yellowstone. It's a cracker.
I think we're going to see the demise of John Dutton.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
So I think that's where the territory show is going to go, trying to make the Aussie kind of Yellowstone, but it's not quite the acting.
Not like that.
Yeah, the cross-eyed Aussies haven't quite got it. Yeah.
Have you seen Lioness?
Exactly.
Have you seen Lioness, the other one that Taylor Sheridan does? It's good. It's about like the CIA or FBI or something. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, rightio.
It's a good filler when there's no Yellowstone or 1923 or 1880.
Well, I was like a late bloomer, but like everyone was telling me, and I was like, and I don't watch much TV. I've got not many kind of spare hours in my day to watch TV, but I was like, I've got to got to watch it, and then it was like one of those things where like you watch an episode, you're like, oh fuck, I don't know, I've got to watch another one.
And then
so
they all talk about it at work the next day. You watch that?
Yeah. So you end up staying late at night, then you half fuck the next day because you've been watching Yellowstone.
One more.
Just one more episode.
Catch up.
Yeah, but
it took me. I had to watch the first episode twice. I couldn't get into it, and I don't know.
It takes a few episodes, I think, to get into it. Like it was like any of those really good series. Like it takes a little bit to lead up to it, and then you get addicted to it, and then you can't stop watching it until it's done. Yeah, but
should we launch into a few quick ones?
You reckon? Rightio. What do we got?
Actually, I've got a question. I'm going to pause before I say it. So we might want to edit it out.
Right.
You told me a fun fact last night about a property that you guys own down the coast. I don't know if you want to talk about it on the podcast or not.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was
rather
actually
interesting.
It was so my grandfather he bought the Wanji power station when it got decommissioned years ago. Just because it was kind of 55 acres of waterfront land, Lake Macquarie there, and spent a few years in court, I guess, to try and get some approvals in place, and which he did. So for some redevelopment, but it's then he was a very clever businessman, my grandfather, and did some awesome things over his life, and but then unfortunately, when after all this happened, he got dementia and ended up got Alzheimer's disease and passed away. So it's my grandmother is still alive, and she kind of she owns it now, and my father and his brothers kind of manage it there, but it's just kind of sitting there, and at the end of the day, it's always going to be kind of 55 acres an hour north of Sydney, so it'll be worth something to someone one day.
On the water.
Yeah. So it's just
nice block.
So it's just one of those things that'll one day someone will want it more than us, and because it I guess it'd be too expensive for us to develop. It's a fairly big project.
Interesting piece of land.
Yeah, and it's cool too. So there's we've done like some homework on there's some power stations over in the UK that they've kind of converted into some pretty unreal
stays and accommodation.
But like shopping centres, like retirement villages, like they're towns, I guess. So and that was kind of, I guess, the plans that we had done up for the place. It was like some bit of commercial, bit of industrial, bit of residential. But it's just bloody expensive to do, I guess. And
you guys keep it long enough, they might put a nuclear plant there.
Yeah, well, at one stage with the power shortages here, we're thinking about sparking the key and getting it going again. But I don't think it's quite that easy though. All right, fellas, start her up. But yeah, so it's not quite that easy though, I don't think. But so
do you ever go out there and just go for a visit?
I've only driven past there once. So I guess the biggest problem we got there is intruders. I guess a lot of people like to climb the chimneys and base jump off the top and nearly kill themselves. So we have to have kind of security there quite often. People like to use it as a place to show off their artwork with the graffiti, and had a lot of theft there, and so yeah, we've got to go down there, just keep an eye on the fences and keep the place tidy, I guess, is the biggest thing.
You run security all the time there?
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah. So it's and
fireproof it. And,
exactly. Yeah. So there's been some fires there, or people go and turn water on, so we had to cut the water off to the place because they'd leave water on there for a couple of days without someone noticing. And so we had some, people going. We had some boats stored there, and people go and knock all the engines off the boats. Or we had one bloke steal a boat, and then old mate struggled to get it registered and rang us up, being like, "Oh, I bought this boat off you guys." I'm like, "No, you didn't." And I got it from the So people just thought you just help yourself there, and it's just So
that's pretty cool. That's 10 points for trying.
So
ingenious,
and it wasn't the guy's fault. He'd done all the right. He paid for it and everything, but just the bloke he got it off hadn't paid for it.
You mean he just took it and thought?
No, but he was just struggling to get it registered, and because it was in someone else's name. He's like, "Yeah, I bought it off this guy, but it wasn't in his name. It's come up in your name." So I was just wondering, would you be able to transfer the paperwork? I was like, "Nah,
we've been looking for it."
I've been wanting to go fishing and I can't.
Just paid $50,000 for a boat.
Yeah. So it was only like a tinny or something, but it was still it's just it's been a bit of a pain in the ass. But anyway, it's still sitting down there. Yeah.
No, I thought it was really interesting, man. It's like an iconic Bit of property down there. The skyline,
well, it is.
The stacks.
Well, everyone that's why when you said where you grew up, that's what I said. Oh, do you know Wangi Power Station? You're like, yeah, the big stacks, and so everyone seems to see the big exhaust pipe sticking up in the air, and then it's a really cool building. Like it looks unreal. So I say one day
should be something.
Yeah, it's heritage listed, so it's kind of got to stay the way it is. But I'm just hoping one day someone does something really cool that'll be great for the community there as well, and I'm sure the people that live in that area would probably like to look at something, a bit nicer than what it looks now.
A bit of bush, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully someone does something cool with it one day. But I don't know if it'll be us or not. Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Woodsy chipped me yesterday because we say 5 quick ones with Ryan and Woodsy, and he said, well, why do you use your first name and you use my nickname? So my nickname is Frosty. It has been my whole life. My dad's nickname was Frosty.
Yeah.
So we're going to introduce 5 quick ones with Frosty and Woodsy.
That's better. All right.
There's no real story where the name comes from, I don't believe. I don't really know. It's just
I think it must be the blonde.
Yeah, I don't know. You're not sure, but
usually it's someone that's got like a last name like White or something.
Well, Foster, Frost. I don't know. Maybe there's
Frosty.
A transition there. So
it doesn't need to make sense, I guess.
So, mate,
Mine likes them snow cones.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe, but mate. Number 1, what's a job you'd be terrible at?
A job I'd be terrible at, probably something to do with sitting behind a desk. Dealing with a lot of people that aren't fun, so something like a lawyer or finance, or I'm sure I've got like a big passion of ADHD or something, and I need to be running around. I'm one of those guys that answers the phone and goes for like a 3-kilometre walk. I'm on the phone and like I can't sit still, and
the phone miles.
just putting a track around the yard, and so sitting behind a desk for 12 hours a day with that, I just wouldn't find that enjoyable. No. So I think one of those kind of jobs, I guess, wouldn't be my cup of tea.
And also a disclaimer, no offence to lawyers and financial people either. I do know a couple of fun finance guys, so I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't for lawyers. We wouldn't need lawyers, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't put that on there.
It'll be on there.
Woodsy's got one that you might have an answer to.
Have you been barred from anywhere or banned?
I guess there's been some pubs there. Like, there was, there used to be and we're going back a long time now, but there was like an Irish pub in Brisbane there. I'm trying to think of its name now. Across from the Victory, and they used to do Jaeger bombs for $5 on a Thursday night or whatever. Yep. And I just had this, I don't know, this thing in my head that night. I was like,
temptation.
Fucking, you know what, let's do this. And and then I nailed a few of them, and then went behind the bar with the jug and turned on all the taps and just started mixing all the beers and serving out beers to everyone. And I got a life ban from there.
Oh, okay. You're not going back.
But joke's on them. I don't think they're around anymore. So.
I've always sort of been amused by the life ban, because unless you've got like a long-time publican or like a photo on the wall.
I've had some mates that have got like life bans from the casino for doing silly things, and I think they've got facial recognition and everything.
Oh,
now.
Does that stick?
So like you can try and trick them and come with a shitty beard like mine was saying and see if you can. But they're like right on it. But like those pubs, sure, like they life ban. I think that's like don't come back.
I thought it was always when the publican change that life ban would.
Yeah. Or he forgets or whatever. Yeah. Like I say, like how do you remember? They've got that many people coming in. Unless they've got a big picture of you behind the bar. I mean, like, do not let this bloke in.
I've got a mate. He was on a soccer trip in Coffs Harbour, and they had their sort of post GF celebrations. And I was staying at a hotel there, and they had the music pumping, like just so the guy come and kicked him out who managed this motel, and so it would have been years later, 5 years or something, our mate got married in Coffs, and we stayed at the same hotel, and he was paranoid, and he goes, I'm kicked out of here. This guy. I said, you're going to be fine. We're getting ready in the room. We're having a beer. We sort of got all the gear on to go to the wedding. We're standing out in the veranda, and this guy walks out of the office and just pointed to him from upstairs and just said, you.
Oh, really? From upstairs was a guide, was it? Or?
Yeah, mate, it was crazy. I thought that bloke has a good memory.
Yeah, that's he takes his life bans very seriously.
He does.
Are you a thinker or a doer?
I'm a doer, I'd say, yeah. So,
and
that's
sounds of it, I think.
Been part of, I guess, some of our success. That sometimes, I think, sometimes a lot of people think about things too much without doing them. When I'll come up with an idea and just have a crack. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it's bloody horrible. But luckily, I'm good at a bit of calculated risk and have a go. And if it works out, well, that's great. And if it doesn't, well, we won't do that again, and we'll do something else. So I'm definitely more of a doer.
A doer.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Final one, mate. We ask everyone, if you could go back and give your 18-year-old self any advice, what would it be?
I guess probably the biggest thing would be like, when you're like, 17, 18, you're really worried about what people think about you, and sometimes you try and be someone that you're not, because you're trying to impress people. And I guess I really came out of my shell when I stopped giving a fuck what people think about me and just do you and be yourself. And I think that's
be yourself.
I tell my kids the same thing all the time. Don't let people belittle you for being different. I know I'm different. I'm a bit cross-threaded. I can't help it. But that's me. And people either like or you don't. So don't try and be someone that you're not. And I say it's probably advice I would have given myself when I was 17, 18. Don't try and be someone that you're not, I guess.
That's right.
Be yourself.
Good one. Be yourself. Yeah, love it.
Well, mate, it's a close-knit industry, and your reputation preceded you prior to us meeting. And, mate, it's been great to sit down and have a yarn. And,
no, well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks a lot.
It's been good fun.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
And I'm looking forward to hearing it all. Should be fun.
Yeah. Hopefully not too many edits. So.
I think we've been good. So.
Right, thanks, guys.
Very
Cheers.
good.
Thank you.